So I'm going to be talking with you, as Anna said today, about my path to becoming a computer scientist. And everyone has a different journey. So the steps that I took may not necessarily be the steps that you take, but it is one way that you can get started. So that's me around 1990. I was in the fifth grade, like many of you. And so I always want people to know that where you start isn't where you finish. I was really interested in math and science. And so my parents, who were more into arts and culture, they weren't really aware of the kinds of opportunities available to become computer scientists or an engineer. And so it really does take a village of people like your teachers, people who are doing coding programs like Anna, and other individuals who can help get you connected with programs that you can learn about how to become involved with science and technology. So you don't always have to have somebody in your immediate family. It's often the case that you will find people who are going to be able to support you right in your school or in your clubs. And for me, that person was my teacher, Mr. Bolivar. So he was a science teacher, and he ran an after school club, an extracurricular club called MESA. And that stood for Mathematics, Engineering, Science Achievement. And they focused on exposing kids like myself and like yourselves to engineering and math and science. So we got to go and visit colleges, see labs that the students and graduate students were running at those colleges and universities. And we even, my senior year, got to travel to Florida and visit NASA. And so we had the opportunity to shadow NASA engineers. And that was such an eye-opening experience because I was able to see what an engineer did in their day-to-day lives. Another person who was really influential to me was my math teacher. His name was Mr. Garcia, and he was the person who first introduced me to programming, to coding, as you might also hear it called. And he was piloting a class in about 1994, which was probably well before any of you were born, that was about using computers to write code. He encouraged me to enroll in that class. And thanks to him, I learned my first programming language, which was called QBasic. And that was a terminal programming language, meaning that there was no, it was text only, but it was a lot of fun. And that's how I got my start coding. And so that led me to apply to become an undergraduate student, so college, university. I applied to the University of Northwestern, and I was accepted and attended their computer science program as an undergraduate student. I am just sharing with you a little fun fact. This little Willie the Wildcat here, I actually drew that using computer software. So I had an interest also in digital design and artwork. So you can use computers to do a lot of different things, which I'm sure many of you have already started doing because it's everywhere these days. It wasn't as available to me back when I was your age. And then I went to the University of Chicago. So as you can see here, I had my family with me to celebrate my graduation. And they were supportive the entire time, and also the computer science faculty. So those were all really great supports for me in my computer science journey. One of the things that was really helpful in getting me through my undergraduate career to employment was that I did internships. And one of the internships that I did, it was funded, meaning that there was money provided from an organization called the National Science Foundation. And they funded a research group that I was part of where we were coding. I got the opportunity to write a web-based applet to do simulation on heat molecules. So I worked with the chemical science department, and they taught me about the molecules and how they moved, and I translated that into coding. So it's a collaborative practice. Oftentimes what people will tell you is that you'll be just there coding all by yourself, but really it is teamwork. And so along with this graduate student and our professor, we were able to complete this application, and it was a lot of fun. And then I also, in my graduate coursework, did projects where I was able to take real world problems and that same kind of learning that I did when I was in my internship, where I took a problem that somebody else knew very much about and translated it into code, I was able to do when I was doing my graduate work. So one of the great things I would encourage everybody to do is think about problems that you see in the world around you, maybe even in your own home. A lot of you might have your Google Home or your Alexa assistant or even your Siri, where you can write automation to do things like turn the lights on, or even add a shopping list. So I can tell my Google Home to add things to my shopping list, and it will add those. And so you can play around in those ways as well. But just taking something that interests you in real life and finding a way to do it in computer code or using computers and technology. So I, after finishing grad school, went to work for Intel. And this is me in 2005 when I started. And it was a really great start to my technical career. I met a lot of people. I moved across the country. So technology will give you the opportunity to travel and to experience things that get you outside of the world that you're comfortable or familiar with, which is probably one of the best things about being in this field, is learning new things every day. And as Anna mentioned, one of the things that is very important to me is because of the fact that so many people were important to getting my interest and helping to support me on my journey, I like to give back. So I think it's really important to support people like yourselves who are interested and want to find out ways to get involved in computer science, to help them connect with technology and find programs that they can participate in and ways that they can get involved in computer science. And so one of those things is that we bring young ladies to our Intel site when it's not COVID time to do hands-on activities and visit our labs and talk to engineers about what they do for a living. And as Anna also mentioned, one of the things that I am involved with through Education Empowers is I help coach a Lego League, first Lego League team. And so helping those students to program robots to complete challenges is really fun. You see here that they're working on creating computer code to control this Lego robot and navigate this course. So that is one of the things that I really love doing, is helping young students find ways to channel their creativity through math and science. And one of the things that I want to make sure, and I'll send these links to your teachers, where you can get started, is there are really fun tutorials that you can do, programming languages that you can start learning today. One of them is called Python. Another one is called Scratch. I would say that for those of you who've never done any coding before, that Scratch is a great place to start. And for those of you who might have done some and are interested in getting a little more involved with having more control over the code that you write, Python is a great place to start. And one of the things we wanted, Anna asked me to talk about was different kinds of careers in computer science. So I actually want to ask you questions because I want to know what careers you've actually heard of, or some of the careers that you think might be in computer science. So I'm going to open up the chat so that I can see what you've written. But I would love to hear some of the careers that you have heard of from computer science, and you can call out an answer or have your teacher put it in the chat, and then I can talk a little bit about that. Does anybody have a career they've heard of? I see a web developer. Yes, very good. So definitely a web developer is a career within computer science. So let's talk a little bit about web development. And of course, I see making video games. Absolutely. That is a career. A lot of people don't think that games can lead to a career, but they absolutely do. So and game design, I see that as well. Yep, those are all great, great careers within the field of computer science. So let's talk first about a web developer. Well, a web developer, many of you are using your phones or a laptop computer to get on and browse the internet. And somebody who's developing applications for the web, they're either writing the front end, so what you see, and all of the things that you interact with as a user that you can actually see load on the page, and also on your mobile device. And so they have to understand which device you're going to be viewing that page in. And then there are also people, and they have a lot of graphic design experience, so they make things look nice. But then there are also people who are putting together the back end. So there are things that you never ever see that are driving that web page, which can be like a database that contains all of the content. And then there are templates that make the layout consistent across all of these different devices, like your mobile device or your computer. So there's a lot of different work that happens to make a web page available. And then within game design, there are people who code the games themselves. They are working on the graphics, and some of those folks might also be doing some of the virtual effects work that you see in a Marvel movie, as an example. And so they're bringing to life a lot of those action sequences you see with your favorite superheroes. And you also see a lot of different really interesting game design. So how many people have ever heard of game theory? Maybe. Raise your hand, maybe. I don't see any hands raised, but I think one of the things that, okay, I guess I thought I saw a hand back there. Yes, I see a hand there. That game theory is how you have people navigate your game. So what paths might they take, and how do they do the actual playing of the game? So yeah, those are all really fun careers. I see computer technician, so people who come in and fix computers. If you've ever had your computer die, there are definitely people who can fix it, repair it for you, and also people who help you troubleshoot. And I see somebody says working in the Navy and working with drones. Yes. So drones are programmable so that they're autonomous, meaning that they can have a program run on them that gives them instructions of where to go and what to do. And there's also this really interesting field now. It's called artificial intelligence. How many of you have heard about artificial intelligence? I see some hands in Miss, I hope I'm not going to butcher this, in Miss Epstein's class, in Annie Epstein's class. So awesome. I also see some hands in Mrs. or Ms. Pollinger's class as well. So you all have heard about artificial intelligence. And those can actually be self-learning. So they take all of this really things that we're used to seeing with humans. So computer vision can take in video or camera input and translate that into something that the computer understands about what might be in the environment, like a person, like autonomous vehicles. Maybe some of you have seen the Waymo cars that are driving around, the self-driving vehicles. They use a lot of some of the same technologies that drones use. So yes, these are all really great ideas around some of the careers in computer science. And there are a lot more of them that you can go to. There's a website called computerscience.org, and there is a section of the website called careers that is dedicated to walking you through all of these different careers. So like a software developer, web developer, one of you had already mentioned, a database administrator. So you can explore how different areas and careers you might be interested in. And of course, as I mentioned, it's something that for going on any journey, it takes a village to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So making certain that the people who are in your life, you let them know what your interests are, and they can help connect you to all of these different clubs and programs that can help you get involved with what may soon in the future become your career.